TNT Sports Cards, and we are going to do our first of many series about back to basics in hobby education. So I'm here with Tommy from TNT, and he's going to run us through what you should be looking at for your cards when you're inspecting them before you send them off for grading.
So first thing you always want to look at is centering. Make sure the card, if there's a border, make sure it's even on all sides, top, bottom, left to right.
So this card is an example of something that is poorly centered. If you look, you can see from top to bottom and left to right, the card is more in the upper left corner. Tom's gonna explain to us a little bit of how you can determine centering on a card that doesn't have borders.
So you always want to try to find a point of reference. So on this card in Mosaic this year, so for basketball, we're going to look at this here and this here. There's a little bit of silver over here. There's not there. We can also look at this line here, there versus there. The card's off center a little bit, right to left. You kind of have to determine, does it really take away from the eye appeal? This to me doesn't seem bad enough to where I wouldn't grade it just based on centering alone, but you always want to try to find some point of reference if it doesn't have a border to determine whether the card's centered or not.
So what are the parameters for centering in general?
PSA uses with the 60-40 scale, so as long as the card's within 60-40, it doesn't necessarily mean you can, always be a gem 10 and that's all they use. They really gauge eye appeal. Most grading companies will tell you centering is mostly eye appeal based. If you can look at the card right away and tell it's off center, they're gonna knock you for it. Cards without borders, they're usually a lot more generous with, but it also just kind of depends on which grader you get as well. You always want to look at the back, look at the corners, look at the edges, especially if it's got a dark, a blue, or a black back or backdrop. You want to look at make sure there's no whiting anywhere. That's the biggest thing. If those are right away, if you can see it's off center, there's whiting, white corners, white edges. Those are kind of telltales of probably not a good card to get graded.
Excellent. So this right here would be an example of a whitened edge that would definitely not grade well. If you look here, you can see whitening on the corners of this card. This would definitely not grade well. A lot of times things on your surface seem amazing until you really inspect it. Do you see that dent right there? That would definitely not gem. So Tommy, if folks don't want to inspect their own card, because that does seem like a lot of work.
It can be.
How much do you guys charge for that, and how can people reach out to you?
We charge $3 per card if you have 19 or less, or if you have 20 or more, it's $2 per card. We'll review it, look it over, determine if it's worth grading and which grading company we would send it to. We have an Instagram at tntcards.mi, or you can join us on our Facebook group, TNT Group Submissions, and reach out to us. We're more than happy to help.
Absolutely. I'm going to link all of that in our story, and I do want to say that it is definitely worth going with a group submitter if you don't have time to go through all this, and if you don't know what you're doing. You can watch videos like this and learn and see little tricks, but while you're practicing, definitely check out TNT.